JE problem from the famous blue book of Gupta, black book, excuse me. Now there's a couple of properties we'll be using right here. Well-known property of exponents that says if you have a to the m raised to the n, that's tantamount to just multiplying the exponents. And that's a very easy thing to prove. You could just write out m copies of a and see that it has to be m times n copies. Okay, so that's a raised to the m n. Well-known property of exponents gets used here. Okay, now also you can see right here, there's a difference of two squares taking place. Very common factoring formula. This would be a squared minus b squared. Right here. And of course this is a plus b times a minus b on the right hand side of the equivalency arrow. Okay. Now the intention, I think, of the author of this preparatory problem for the JEE was to produce a quadratic equation and just look at the coefficient of x to note that the sum of the zeros would be minus. The negative sum of the zeros would be the coefficient of x. It's a well-known result called Vieta. Okay, but there's a way to do it without even constructing a quadratic equation, just using the well-known techniques of factoring and substitution and elimination. And this is all pretty self-explanatory right here. Now, at this stage of the problem, we know that 3 raised to the x over 2 minus 2 to the y is equal to 7. So this very next line is we literally replace the 7 with what it's equal to, okay? And then if you add this result, if you turn around and add this result again to this, you get this result right here. You're just adding and you're eliminating 2 to the y. You see, if you add this object to this object, the 2 to the y's cancel, and you get 2 times 3 raised to the x over 2 is equal to 18. Now note that that would imply that 3 raised to the x over 2 is equal to 9. All right, and then by inspection here, since we know that 3 squared is 9, that implies that x equals 4. You see, we're actually finding the roots directly, okay, which is not what the problem called for. The problem was just a multiple choice question that says find the sum of the values x and y, which you could find, like I mentioned earlier in the video, just by re-expressing this as an equivalent quadratic equation. But this is just a direct approach here. So we know that x is equal to 4. By inspection right here, since if you put 4 right here, you get 3 squared is equal to 9, okay? Now, so we know that x is equal to 4, and so we can use either one of the equations. Like we'll just use this right here if you want to. Right here, this would tell us, this right here with x equals to 4 would imply that 2 to the y okay, 2 to the y is equal to 2. Folks, again, apologies for leaving out the step, but we've already seen that 3 to the x over 2 is equal to 9, right? So this would just be 9 right here. Right, that would just be 9. If you subtract 9 from both sides, you get 2 to the y is equal to 2, and that implies y equals 1. Okay, so another question is just to find the values, and they're clearly y equals 1 and x equals 4. And notice, let me get that circled. Okay, notice that the sum x plus y is equal to 5. Okay, and so the answer to the multiple choice question is part D right here. Thanks for being.